Liam's heart pounded in his chest as the echoes of chaos reverberated through the desolate warehouse. The once bustling town of Oakwood had been reduced to a cacophony of screams and destruction, its residents no longer in control of their own actions. He, Jenny, and Malik crouched behind a stack of rusted metal drums, their breaths shallow and rapid. The air reeked of damp earth and decay, a fitting atmosphere for the nightmare that had become their reality. Liam's eyes darted to Jenny, who clutched her head in her hands, her knuckles white with tension. Her usually vibrant blue eyes were clouded with fear, and her auburn hair hung in disarray around her face. He couldn't help but worry about her fragile psyche, knowing all too well the demons that lurked beneath her surface. Liam's gaze then shifted to Malik, who stood tall and resolute, his dark brown eyes scanning the perimeter with unwavering focus. The scars that lined his shaved head served as a stark reminder of the battles he'd faced and the strength he'd gained in the process. A sudden crash from outside sent a shiver down Liam's spine, and he instinctively reached for Jenny's hand, offering what little comfort he could muster. He knew that they were all grappling with their own fears, but they needed to remain strong if they were to have any hope of survival. "We need to figure out why we're immune," Jenny whispered, her voice strained yet determined. "There has to be a reason we can resist their control." Malik nodded in agreement, his jaw set firmly. "We can use that to our advantage. If we can understand how they're manipulating the townspeople, we might be able to find a way to free them." Liam felt a surge of guilt wash over him as he considered the weight of their responsibility. He had always been cautious, second-guessing his decisions in an attempt to avoid making the same mistakes he'd made in his marriage. But now, hesitation could mean the difference between life and death for the people of Oakwood. He couldn't afford to let his past failures hold him back any longer. "You're right," Liam conceded, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. "We need to work together and use our immunity to help the others. We can't let fear control us." As they huddled together, the sounds of chaos grew louder, the controlled townspeople closing in on their hiding place. Liam felt the burden of his guilt press down upon him, threatening to consume him. But alongside that weight, he also felt a growing resolve, a determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. He knew that they would face unimaginable horrors as they delved deeper into the mystery of the alien control, but he also knew that they couldn't afford to back down. Together, they would confront the darkness that had befallen Oakwood and fight to restore the light. With heavy hearts, Liam, Jenny, and Malik emerged from their sanctuary, the decrepit warehouse, and into the warped reality that was once their peaceful town. The cacophony of chaos filled the air, punctuated by the unsettling cries of their fellow townspeople, now mere puppets in the hands of an otherworldly force. Liam's guilt gnawed at him, like a relentless predator hungry for resolution. The trio moved stealthily through the desolate streets, their senses heightened as they bore witness to the horrific nightmares inflicted upon the controlled humans. They saw friends and neighbors, once kind and gentle, now contorted in grotesque displays of agony and rage. Jenny's brilliant mind raced to analyze the aliens' methods, her sharp blue eyes scanning each scene with a mixture of horror and determination. As they turned a corner, a group of controlled townspeople advanced upon them, their faces twisted in monstrous expressions. Malik, ever the strategist, quickly assessed the situation and barked orders in his commanding tone. "Jenny, create a distraction. Liam, follow my lead." Jenny's voice rang out, mimicking the alien's control frequency, causing the mob to momentarily pause. Seizing the opportunity, Malik and Liam darted into the shadows, narrowly evading the clutches of the twisted horde. As they regrouped, Liam's heart raced, his breath shallow and uneven. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking a tightrope between life and death, with the abyss below hungry for their descent. In the distance, they spotted a familiar figure, Sheriff Noah Hayes, his strong build and salt-and-pepper hair unmistakable. By his side was Dr. Emily Fairchild, her usually warm demeanor replaced with a stern resolve. As they approached, it became apparent that the pair was also immune to the alien control. Relief washed over Liam as they exchanged stories, the burden of their shared responsibility momentarily lightened by the knowledge that they were not alone in their fight. As they pooled their knowledge and resources, a spark of hope ignited within Liam, casting a faint glimmer of light upon the darkness that threatened to consume them. Together, they formed a larger alliance, united in their mission to free the townspeople from the clutches of the alien invaders. But beneath the surface, Liam couldn't help but question the true nature of their newfound allies. Could they truly trust Noah, who had always been so reluctant to accept help? And what secrets did Dr. Fairchild harbor behind her steely gaze? As they ventured deeper into the heart of darkness, Liam clung to the fragile hope that they could overcome the nightmare that had befallen Oakwood. But he also knew that they would have to confront their own inner demons, the personal horrors that lurked within the recesses of their minds, if they were to stand a chance against the insidious force that sought to strip humanity of its consciousness. In the face of such unimaginable horror, Liam, Jenny, Malik, Noah, and Emily would have to draw upon their collective strength, their unwavering resolve, and their deepest reserves of courage, if they were to reclaim their town and restore the light. For in the depths of darkness, the true test of their humanity awaited them, and it would demand nothing less than their very souls. The abandoned radio tower loomed above them, a gnarled skeleton against the backdrop of a chaotic Oakwood. Liam's gaze lingered on the rusted metal structure, its silence a haunting reminder of the town's lost connection to the world. Jenny's nimble fingers danced across the controls of the ancient radio equipment. Sparks flew as she coaxed the dormant machine back to life, her eyes alight with determination. She murmured under her breath, lost in the intricate dance of deciphering the alien communications that saturated the airwaves. Liam leaned against a cold, damp wall, his heart heavy with the burden of their mission. He watched as Noah paced the room, casting furtive glances at the controlled townspeople who roamed the streets below. The sheriff's eyes seemed to linger on one figure in particular, Marie Davis, Noah's wife, her movements jerky and mechanical under the alien's control. A cold sweat broke out on Liam's brow as he witnessed the silent exchange between Noah and his wife. His suspicions grew like a malignant tumor, feeding on the fear and uncertainty that already plagued their group. He couldn't shake the feeling that Noah was hiding something, that the trust they'd placed in him was misguided. The radio crackled to life, and Jenny's voice broke through the tension. "I've got something," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with horror. "They're planning to strip us of our consciousness. They want to turn us into mindless drones, devoid of thought and emotion." A chill ran down Liam's spine as the true extent of the aliens' plan became clear. The nightmares they had witnessed were just the beginning, a taste of the unimaginable horror that awaited humanity if they failed in their mission. He turned to Noah, seeking reassurance, but found only a steely resolve in the sheriff's eyes. The weight of Noah's secret hung heavy in the air between them, threatening to shatter the fragile alliance they'd formed. As the group huddled together, their fears and doubts coalescing into a suffocating fog, Liam clenched his fists, fighting against the creeping darkness that threatened to consume them. He knew that they would have to confront not only the external horrors that lurked in the shadows, but also the inner demons that gnawed at their very souls. Together, they would have to find the strength to resist the alien influence and reclaim their humanity, or be lost forever in the abyss of an unspeakable nightmare. Amidst the suffocating gloom of the radio tower, Malik's eyes gleamed with a determined fire. "There's only one way to fight this," he declared, his voice steady and resolute. "We need to infiltrate their hive mind, strike at the heart of their collective consciousness." Liam's heart pounded in his chest as he considered Malik's words. It was a desperate gamble, but it might be their only hope. He glanced at Dr. Fairchild, who nodded solemnly, her gentle green eyes filled with steely resolve. "I can help you train your minds," she said, her voice soothing yet firm. "We'll need to amplify your thoughts, turn them into a psychic counterattack strong enough to shatter their control." As the group huddled together, the air around them seemed to crackle with tension. They shared their fears and doubts, their inner demons bubbling to the surface as they prepared to face the unimaginable horrors that awaited them within the alien hive mind. Suddenly the radio crackled to life, the static giving way to a chilling, emotionless voice that echoed in their minds. "Intruders detected. Eliminate the threat." The door to the radio tower burst open, and a mob of controlled townspeople surged forward, their eyes glazed and their expressions twisted into grotesque masks of rage. At their helm stood Mayor Davis, his once charismatic demeanor now replaced by a cold, emotionless stare. Liam's pulse raced as he braced himself for the onslaught. They couldn't afford to harm these people. They were victims, just like the rest of Oakwood. Instead, they would have to rely on their wits and their newfound psychic abilities to repel the attack without causing harm. As the group fought back, their thoughts coalescing into a powerful psychic barrier, Liam locked eyes with Noah. Despite the tension between them, he knew they would have to trust one another if they hoped to survive. Together, they focused their minds, their thoughts weaving together into an intricate web of defense that held the controlled mob at bay. Dr. Fairchild's soothing voice cut through the chaos, guiding their minds and helping them hone their psychic abilities. With each passing moment, their barrier grew stronger, their collective willpower pushing back against the relentless tide of the alien influence. As the battle raged on, Liam felt a growing sense of hope. They might just stand a chance against the entity, provided they could hold together and maintain their focus. But he knew that the true test still lay ahead, the harrowing journey into the heart of the alien hive mind itself. With a final, desperate surge of psychic energy, the group managed to repel the controlled mob, their tormented screams echoing through the night as they collapsed, unconscious, but unharmed. As the dust settled, Liam turned to his allies, his heart swelling with gratitude and determination. Together, they would face the darkness that lay ahead, their minds united against the unspeakable horrors that threatened to consume them. And perhaps, in the process, they might just find the strength to reclaim their humanity and save Oakwood from the clutches of the entity. The air around them shimmered, and in an instant, the group found themselves in a vast, twisted landscape. The sky roiled with sickly green clouds, casting an eerie glow over the desolate scene. The ground beneath their feet was slick with a viscous, otherworldly substance that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as he tried to make sense of the nightmarish world that surrounded them. He could hear the others murmuring uneasily, their voices barely audible over the cacophony of alien whispers that seemed to echo from every direction. Malik's voice cut through the din, stern and commanding. Remember your training. Focus on your inner strength and maintain your mental cohesion. We're in this together. As if in response to Malik's words, the landscape began to shift and twist, the shadows coalescing into horrifying forms that seemed to embody each of their deepest fears. Liam's breath caught in his throat as he saw the towering figure of his ex-wife, her face contorted with rage and betrayal. Jenny let out a strangled cry, her eyes wide with terror as she faced a swarm of writhing, amorphous shapes that seemed to be clawing at her very soul. Noah's jaw clenched as he stared down a horde of twisted, tormented figures that bore the faces of the townspeople he had sworn to protect. Malik stood his ground, his gaze locked on a monstrous apparition that seemed to be a grotesque fusion of every battlefield horror he had ever encountered. And Dr. Fairchild, her eyes filled with steely determination, faced a swirling vortex of darkness that threatened to consume her whole. "We can't let them break us," Liam whispered, his voice trembling with barely contained fear. "We have to fight back." He reached out to the others, his hand shaking as he tried to form a connection with their minds. Together, they focused their thoughts, their combined psychic energy coalescing into a powerful force that seemed to push back against the darkness. As they struggled to maintain their mental cohesion, Liam felt a sudden surge of emotion well up within him. He realized, with a start, that he was no longer just fighting for himself. He was fighting for Jenny, for Malik, for Noah, and for Dr. Fairchild. He was fighting for the town of Oakwood, and for the chance to make amends for the mistakes of his past. With newfound resolve, Liam faced the monstrous manifestation of his guilt and self-doubt. He could feel the others beside him, their psychic energies merging with his own, creating a powerful bond that seemed to anchor him in the face of the overwhelming darkness. "I'm not going to let you control me anymore," he whispered, his voice filled with quiet determination. "I'm going to face my fears and overcome them, no matter what it takes." As he spoke the words, he felt a surge of power coursing through him, his psychic energy swelling to meet the challenge of the nightmarish apparition before him. With a roar of defiance, he lashed out, His thoughts sharpened into a razor-edged weapon that sliced through the darkness. The monstrous figure let out an unearthly shriek, its form dissolving into a swirling vortex of shadows that seemed to retreat before him. Liam could feel the others beside him, their thoughts and emotions mingling with his own, creating a powerful force that seemed to drive back the darkness. Together, they forged onward, their combined strength and determination pushing back against the nightmarish landscape that sought to consume them. As they fought, Liam felt a growing sense of hope, a conviction that together, they could overcome the darkness and reclaim their lives from the clutches of the entity. And as the shadows receded before them, he knew that they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for redemption, for forgiveness, and for the chance to forge a new future, free from the darkness that had haunted them for so long. The amorphous shadow that was the entity recoiled, its dark tendrils writhing in agony as Liam, Jenny, Malik, Noah, and Emily channeled their combined psychic energy into a blinding beacon of hope and resilience. The once daunting nightmare landscape around them began to crumble, revealing fractured glimpses of the real world beneath the suffocating veil of the alien hive mind. Liam clenched his fists, teeth gritted as he fought to maintain the fragile connection with his allies. His mind raced with a torrent of thoughts and emotions, a maelstrom of determination, fear, and raw power. "We're almost there," he growled through gritted teeth. "We can do this." Jenny's voice echoed through his thoughts, a beacon of strength in the chaos. "Together, we can break through." As one, their psychic assault intensified, the beacon growing brighter, more focused. The entity let out an unearthly wail, its form fracturing under the relentless onslaught. With a final, desperate surge, they pierced the heart of the hive mind. A deafening psychic shockwave rippled outward, shattering the entity's hold on Oakwood's residents. The darkness dissipated in an instant, leaving the group suspended in a void of silence. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, the world came rushing back. The force of the psychic backlash slammed into them like a tidal wave, and Liam felt his consciousness slipping away. He fought to stay awake, to hold on to the victory they had won, but the darkness closed in around him, dragging him down into oblivion. Liam's eyes fluttered open, the harsh glare of fluorescent lights stabbing into his skull like daggers. He groaned, his head pounding with a migraine that threatened to split his skull in two. Blinking away the disorientation, he took in his surroundings, the radio tower, an array of equipment, and his companions sprawled on the floor nearby. He staggered to his feet, wincing at the pain that shot through his body with every movement. "Jenny? Malik? Noah? Emily?" he called out, his voice hoarse and weak. One by one they stirred, groggily pushing themselves up from the cold concrete floor. They exchanged weary glances, the gravity of their ordeal etched into their faces. But there was something else there too, a glimmer of hope, of triumph. As they gathered their bearings, a cacophony of voices and sounds filtered in from outside the radio tower. Liam moved to the window, peering out at the town below. Oakwood's residents were milling about in confusion, disoriented and dazed, but free from the entity's telepathic control. Liam let out a sigh of relief, leaning heavily against the window frame. "We did it," he murmured, a mixture of disbelief and gratitude washing over him. "We actually did it." Jenny joined him at the window, her eyes filled with tears. "And we did it together," she said softly. "We're free, Liam. Oakwood's free." As they watched the townspeople slowly come to terms with their newfound autonomy, Liam felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. They had faced their inner demons, pierced the veil of the alien hive mind, and had come out the other side stronger for it. There was still work to be done, healing and rebuilding to commence, but for now, they could take a moment to bask in the knowledge that they had triumphed against the darkness. Together, they had fought back the nightmare and reclaimed their town. And as Liam looked out at the confused, disoriented faces of the people of Oakwood, he knew that they had given them a chance to reclaim their lives too. Liam stood at the entrance of the radio tower, the cool evening breeze brushing against his face. The once silent town of Oakwood now buzzed with life as people emerged from their homes, their eyes filled with uncertainty and relief. The air was thick with the scent of singed earth and pine, a constant reminder of the otherworldly battle they had just endured. As the townsfolk gathered around Liam, Jenny, Malik, Noah, and Emily, their faces lit up with gratitude. Liam could feel their eyes on him, their words of thanks weighing heavy on his shoulders. He had never considered himself a hero, but now, as he looked into the faces of the people he had saved, he couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility and pride. Noah approached Liam, his hand extended in a gesture of trust and friendship. "I owe you an apology, Liam," he said, his voice gruff but sincere. "I should have trusted you from the start." Liam clasped Noah's hand, feeling the tension between them dissipate. "We've all made mistakes, Noah," he replied, offering a small smile. "What matters now is that we move forward, together." As the group dispersed, Liam found himself standing next to Jenny. They watched as the townspeople embraced one another, their laughter and tears mingling with the wind. Jenny turned to Liam, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I never thought I'd see this day," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Liam placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, feeling the warmth of her body against his own. "We've come a long way," he said, his voice filled with admiration and respect. "You've faced your fears, Jenny. You should be proud of yourself." Jenny's eyes met Liam's, and for a moment he could see the depth of her pain and the strength of her spirit. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice barely audible. "I was so afraid. But you helped me find the courage to face my past." Liam felt a lump form in his throat as he realized the profound impact their journey had had on each other. They had faced their inner demons together, and in doing so, they had forged a bond that would last a lifetime. As the night wore on, Liam found himself sitting alone on the steps of the radio tower, lost in thought. The events of the past few days had taken a toll on him, and now, as he watched the town of Oakwood begin to heal, he couldn't help but reflect on his own life. His marriage had been a failure, a fact he had tried to ignore for so long. But now, as he looked at the people around him, he realized that he had a second chance. He had the opportunity to start anew, to find forgiveness and redemption in the wake of the alien invasion. As the stars twinkled above him, Liam made a silent vow to himself. He would move on from his past, learn to forgive himself, and embrace the new life that awaited him. He would be there for Jenny, Malik, Noah, and Emily, just as they had been there for him. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. And as Oakwood rebuilt itself, Liam knew that he too could find the strength to rebuild his life, one piece at a time. The smell of charred wood and scorched earth lingered in the air as the people of Oakwood gathered in the town square, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of torches and bonfires. The sounds of laughter and conversation filled the night, a stark contrast to the silence that had once been forced upon them. Liam stood amidst the crowd, his gaze drifting towards his newfound friends, Jenny, Malik, Noah, and Emily. They were the ones who had fought to free Oakwood from the alien influence, and now they were the ones who would help the town rebuild. "Liam." Jenny's voice cut through the noise, her smile genuine as she approached him. "I was hoping I'd find you here." "I needed some fresh air," he replied, his eyes lingering on the crowd. "It's incredible, isn't it? To see everyone smiling and laughing again?" Jenny nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It is. But we can't forget what happened. We need to be prepared for the future." Liam looked at her, noting the determination in her eyes. "You're right. We can't let our guard down." As the night wore on, Liam found himself drawn to the others, their conversations a mix of laughter and serious discussion. They spoke of the alien invasion, of the horrors they had faced, and the strength they had found within themselves. They spoke of their pasts, their fears, and their hopes for the future. And as they shared their stories, Liam felt a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. "I never thought I'd find friends like you," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "After my marriage, I felt so alone." Beside him, Jenny placed a comforting hand on his arm. "We all have our demons, Liam. But we don't have to face them alone." As the celebration continued, Liam found himself standing with Noah, their eyes locked on the horizon. For a moment, they simply stood in silence, the weight of their shared experiences heavy between them. "I'm sorry, Liam," Noah said finally, his voice gruff, "for doubting you, for not trusting you." Liam hesitated, then nodded. "I understand. I wouldn't have trusted me either." Noah's laugh was short and bitter. "I suppose we both have our reasons for that. But we can't let our pasts define us," Liam said, his voice firm. "We have a chance to start over, to build something new, together." Noah looked at him, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You're right. We do." As the night wore on, the people of Oakwood danced and sang, their laughter echoing through the town like a promise. Liam stood with his friends, watching the celebration with a sense of awe. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, their bonds stronger than ever. And as they vowed to support each other in the face of future challenges, Liam knew that they would face whatever came their way, together. The scene ended with Liam looking up at the stars, a sense of peace washing over him. The horrors of the past were behind them, and a new chapter was beginning. And as he stood with his friends, Liam knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, together.